podcast, where we explore Saudi Arabia as the next destination for global business expansion. And today's topic is the entrepreneur license. As Saudi Arabia continues accelerating toward Vision 2030, entrepreneurship has become a central pillar of economic growth. Foreign investors are looking for clearer, faster, and more accessible pathways to launch their ideas. And that's exactly where the entrepreneur license comes in. Today, we will break it all down. We will explore the purpose behind the license, the problems it solves for early-stage founders, and how it differs from traditional business and investor license. We will also talk about which industries support the step-by-step application process and the challenges entrepreneurs commonly face along the way. Joining me, my colleague Aditya Bhagat, a business setup consultant at Task. Welcome, Aditya, once again to the podcast.
Thank you, Alberto. Pleasure to be here in the studio with you.
Of course. For people who are not familiar with the entrepreneur license, can you explain what is it exactly?
Sure. So, to understand what the entrepreneur license is and how it differs from a normal license, we need to first understand how the other licenses in Saudi Arabia work. So, unless you're a GCC national or someone with a premium Iqama, which is basically like the Saudi equivalent of a golden visa, you cannot set up a business in your own name. You have to set up a business through a holding company. Now, obviously, when you're setting up a business through a holding company, that means that you already have a business somewhere outside Saudi Arabia, right? But this doesn't really address the case of first-time entrepreneurs, which is a segment of the market that the Saudi government is looking to cater to as it tries to fuel innovation in the country. So that is why the entrepreneur license was created. The entrepreneur license essentially allows an individual such as me. You obviously could set up a business in your own name tomorrow easily. But for me, who is a resident in Saudi Arabia, it would not be so easy to set up a business without the entrepreneur license. I'd have to set up a business in India or in the UAE or somewhere else in the world. And then I'd have to wait 1 year while that business had audited financial statements. But now with the entrepreneur license, if I had an idea tomorrow and I wanted to set up a company, I can start pursuing the entrepreneur license to set up a business in my own name in Saudi without having to go through all of these processes. So that's kind of who the entrepreneur license is aimed at.
So from your perspective, what's the purpose of the entrepreneur license and what the problem does it solve for foreign investors?
So for foreign investors, especially when you're setting up something which is largely experimental or it's a risk, you don't want high capital investment and you want to be able to move quickly. You don't want to have to wait that 1 year while you set up a company somewhere else and it develops audited financial statements. You want to be able to set up tomorrow, or you want to be able to set up at least like in the next few months. And you want it to be a low risk bet. There shouldn't be very high license fees associated with it. Those are the two problems that the entrepreneur license is focused on.
All right. So it is for mainly it's entrepreneurs. So it's for entrepreneur license. So it's for entrepreneurs. But who is eligible for this exactly? And what are the key requirements to get the
So the eligibility comes in a few different criteria, right? You could be endorsed by a Saudi university. You could receive a letter of support from a government ministry or a semi-government entity.
University, you mean the incubator of the university?
No. A university, like Princess Noura University, someone who's set up like a experiment within Princess Noura University that's basically coming to fruition. Princess Noura University could, for example, give them a letter of endorsement that they could then take to the Ministry of Investment to set up to try and obtain the entrepreneur license. Similarly, you can get a letter of support from a government or a semi-government entity, like a PIF entity or one of the government ministries. But that is again focused on specific products that they have interest in. Obviously, they're not just handing those out to anyone. The most commonly used route is to go through an incubation center that is licensed by Monshat, which is the body that administers small and medium enterprises. So there are licensed Monshat incubation centers, and you can go to one of these incubation centers, complete the incubation program, following which they will provide you with a letter of endorsement that you can then take to the Ministry of Investment.
Okay, great. And how this license, the entrepreneur license, differ from the business or investor license, the other one, the traditional ones?
So the traditional license doesn't really require any sort of letter of support or an endorsement letter. That there you simply take your company documents and you go to the Ministry of Investment, right? So first thing to understand is that the only difference between the entrepreneur license and the normal investment license categories is the process with the Ministry of Investment. Everything else about setting up your company remains the same. When you're going to submit your articles of association for approval to the Ministry of Commerce, when you're onboarding your general manager, all of that will remain the same. What differs is the process of obtaining the clearance from the Ministry of Investment to set up the entity in the first place. Now, when you're setting up the entity, a normal company coming from abroad already has all the documents that are required, right? So the entrepreneur license doesn't have, you don't have all the documents in hand. You need that letter of support or that letter of endorsement, which is coming from another body within Saudi Arabia, whether that's a VC fund or whether that's the government body or the university or the incubation center. So essentially, the most important thing for an entrepreneur, if they want to get the entrepreneur license, is to obtain that letter of support or the endorsement letter that they need. Now, obtaining that letter of support or letter of endorsement might take some time. They might require you to complete a course. They might require you to provide a demonstration of the product, a minimum viable product. It differs based on which entity you're getting the letter of support from. Like, I was speaking to one individual who actually got a letter of support from Aramco, but that individual had a fully developed product that they had basically pitched to Aramco. And Aramco's main condition was that they wanted to contract with a Saudi entity. So therefore, they provided support in obtaining the entrepreneur investment license to this individual.
All right, great. So is there specific industries or sectors that entrepreneur license targets?
So the main focus of the entrepreneur license is on innovation. Okay. But obviously, there are some key sectors of focus. IT, AI, fintech. If you're in these sort of sectors, it's like those are the core areas of focus for the Saudi government at present. Right? However, even if you're not within these sectors, if you've obtained a patent, for example, on something that is not covered in these sectors, it's still possible for you to get the entrepreneur license, but you have to understand you may not fall within the key demographic that they're targeting.
Okay. Can you walk us through the process of getting the entrepreneur license, like step by step?
Sure. So, like I mentioned, you need the letter of support or the letter of endorsement. That is the biggest key, right? Now, once you have that, you can either set up as an individual shareholder or a group of individual shareholders, or you can have shareholders who are corporate entities. For corporate entities, you require standard company documents, board resolution, audited financial statements, trade license, etc., etc. For individuals, you require ID proof. That is the main requirement. Now, beyond that, that's kind of how you get the MISA license, right? Once you get the MISA license, then the process is fairly standard. You will apply to reserve your trade name. Once you have your trade name reservation, you move on to drafting your articles of association. Once your articles of association are approved by the Ministry of Commerce, then at that point, you'll be able to obtain your commercial registration. At that point, you'll have a legal entity. Now, if you're already resident within Saudi Arabia, that's kind of the process being shortened for you. If you're not resident within Saudi Arabia, this is the point where we will start trying to obtain the residency for you within Saudi Arabia. The residency within Saudi Arabia is crucial because without that, you will not be able to take full operational control of the entity. And by you, I mean the general manager.
Yeah, of course. Okay, what are the common challenges that entrepreneurs usually face when they apply for the entrepreneur license?
The biggest challenge is meeting whatever criteria the incubation center or the VC fund or the government ministries have laid out.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really step one. But I want to take a step back because let's say you're an entrepreneur who's currently based outside of Saudi Arabia, right? How do you get incubated at an incubation center in Saudi Arabia if you don't have residence within Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
So that becomes a little bit of a tricky step. It's kind of, okay, you need the company to have the residency,
Yes.
but you need the residency to get the incubation center endorsement, which leads to the company being formed. So, I mean, there are a few different ways that you can go about it. But again, that differs on a case-to-case basis depending on what exactly the circumstances are. But rest assured, no matter how chicken and egg the problem may feel, there are solutions within the market that allow you to obtain the license.
Of course, and you're an expert here.
I mean, this is kind of our job, right? Like we find ways to make sure that you're able to obtain the license.
Yeah, exactly. So how long it takes from applying to the license to the entrepreneur receive it?
So once you have your documents in hand, you're looking at anywhere between 2 and 4 months, depending on the exact circumstances of your company, before the bank account is set up.
Okay.
So if the bank, if you're looking for the timeline till you get your commercial registration, till the point your company is fully incorporated, that's less than a month.
Mm-hmm.
But again, there are complications after that. You need to register all your government portals so that you can onboard employees. You need to make sure that you are fully set up within the company, right? Like your authority is
post-incorporation.
That's the post-incorporation.
The application process till receiving the entrepreneur license.
Oh, that process takes about 2 weeks once you submit your documents. The obtaining of the documents could be challenging for some companies, right? So certain incubation centers have programs that you need to complete, and those programs could take a few months to complete. So again, it depends exactly on how you're going to go about the incubation center process, or how you're going to obtain the letter of support from the ministry, because these aren't straightforward processes. And again, the urgency with which any body will treat your application is based on the importance they attach to your product, right? What is the need in the market for your product? That's kind of critical over here. So, I mean, one thing I'd like to make clear, if you're looking to use the entrepreneur license to set up like a Amazon drop shipping business, or if you're looking to use the entrepreneur license to basically provide the kind of services that are already easily available in the Saudi market, your application is not going to have the same weight as someone who is being innovative, has created some proprietary technology, has patented a process or something that is of massive importance to the Saudi government. So again, if you're looking at how easy the process is going to be for you, the first question you should ask yourself is, how revolutionary is what I'm proposing to bring to Saudi Arabia? Like, how revolutionary is it? If it's not particularly groundbreaking, then maybe you need to relook at your pitch, or you need to relook at your product and make it so that it is groundbreaking.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Aditya, for your insights on the entrepreneur license. Thank you for watching us. And if you need any help with your expansion plan to KSA market, feel free to reach out to Aditya or me or simply send us a message at info@taskoutsourcing.com. Till next time, goodbye.